Hello and welcome to It's All About You, the best show about you on the internet. I am B. Dave Walters, life, relationships, and spiritual coach. This is episode number 56, Delusion. So how you doing? It's been a while. We haven't talked in too long. I know it's totally my fault. Been really busy. Things been crazy. My little girl got sick for a while, but she's totally fine now. But, kind of took my eye off the ball. But hey, it's back on it, okay? So I'm going to tell you a story here, but before I tell you this story, I want to remind you that I'm not going to put one of my promo spots in this video for my website, but I would like to remind you that my website is peacelovemoney.com. This is what I do for a living, so if you've gotten any value out of what I write, out of what I said, if I've helped you with anything, visit my website, buy something. I'd appreciate it, and I can tell you in advance, it's awesome. Okay, so here's a story. A man was forcing his way through a thick forest with thorns and stones. Actually, before, I don't know if I said the website is peacelovemoney.com. Peacelovemoney.com. My website. It's brilliant. Books, coaching, all kinds of stuff. Okay, back to the story, I promise. We're going to start over. A man was forcing his way through a thick forest beset with thorns and stones. Suddenly, to his great consternation, which means, it upset him, like to his dismay, an elephant appeared and gave chase. He took to his heels through fear, and seeing a well, he ran and hid in it. Sorry, now I'm choking to death. Man, this is what happens when I don't do videos for too long, okay? Going back one line. Man in the forest, elephant attacks him. Okay. He took to his heels through fear, and seeing a well, he ran to hide in it. But to his horror, he saw a viper at the bottom of the well. However, lacking any other means of escape, he jumped into the well and clung to a thorny creeper vine that was growing in it. Looking up, he saw two mice, a white one and a black one, gnawing at the creeper. Over his face there was a beehive from which the occasional drop of honey trickled down. The man, foolishly unmindful of this precarious position, was greedily tasting the honey. A kind person volunteered to show him a path of escape, but the greedy man begged to be excused till he had enjoyed himself. The thorny path is samsara, which is the wheel of life in Buddhism and Hinduism. Well, the ocean of life. Man's life is not a bed of roses. It is beset with difficulties and obstacles to overcome, with opposition and unjust criticism, with attacks and insults to be borne. Such is the thorny path of life. The elephant here resembles death. The viper is old age. The creeper is birth. The two mice are night and day. The drop of honey corresponds to the fleeting sensual pleasures of life. The man represents so-called being, and the kind person represents the Buddha, or Jesus, or God, or whoever. The temporary material happiness is merely the gratification of some desire. When the desired thing is gained, another desire arises. Insatiate are all desires, means you're never going to have everything you want. Sorrow is essential to life, and it cannot be evaded. Nirvana, being non-conditioned, is quiescent. What that means is attaining stillness exists beyond conditions. It exists beyond what's going on around you, and it's transcendent of everything. That peace can only come from not being attached to things, and the more attached to things you are, you're never really going to be happy, and the more unhappy that you're going to be. That's one of the foundations of Buddhism, is that attachment is the root of all suffering. The tighter you cling to things, be it people, situations, ideas, the more it will hurt you 10 out of 10 times. So why do I bring this up? As of right now, this is, it's not quite midnight, it's June 27th I'm recording this, and it's going to be June 28th in about a minute. As of yesterday, June 26th, we had an eclipse, and a huge alignment is taking place right now. The planet, something called a grand cross. It's outside of the limits of this show for me to discuss it right now, but this is a really big deal, even if you don't really follow astrology too much. Just pay attention to the fact that there's a lot of energy going on right now, a lot of conflicts between old situations and new situations, and a lot of things that don't work anymore are probably going to start falling apart. So if you start having trouble in your relationship, start seeing other people having trouble in their relationships, freaking out and quitting jobs, freaking out, quitting relationships, this is why it's happening. So the reason why I bring this up then is the way to deal with this, the transition that's taking place in the sky right now, which is going to be affecting us for months to come, possibly years to come, pending who you ask. And just life in general, even if you're watching this 10 years from now, which hopefully I'm doing this on a much bigger scale now, but maybe you want to go back and see how I was when I was young, and how I look scruffy when I don't shave. That's it. I can't grow a beard. Isn't that sad? But I'm not attached to that. So what does this have to do with delusion? Delusion is when you convince yourself, consciously or unconsciously, that something's going to happen that is never going to happen. Or that something's going to make you happy that is never going to make you happy. A delusion is a lie that you tell yourself. And most of the time, you know what that lie is. Okay? Now, I can give you a couple of hints when a person is delusional. Here's something that happened to me very recently. I won't use any names because the participants are probably going to see this and you'll know who I'm talking about. A friend of mine posted Gandhi's quote up on their wall. Gandhi's quote that, "I like your Christ, I don't like your Christians." She didn't post the follow-up point initially. The second line to that is, "Your Christians are so different from your Christ." A Christian friend of hers took exception to this and proceeded to attack her directly about how you can't say something like that. It's not true everywhere. It's not true at all times. And it's, well, not true everywhere. It's not true at all times. But this person proceeded to pretty violently attack her and anybody else that stood up for her about the fact that she shouldn't have posted this quote. So, me being me, I tried to help this person realize that arguing that her quote made Christians look bad and that it made Christians look mean by being mean was probably not the best way to make the point. You know what I mean? That's like if you're like all black people are aggressive and I say no we're not and I hit you in the face. It's like that's not helping, okay? That's not helping. So this really left a mark in my mind, combined with the fact that I knew this alignment was taking place, and so I was somewhat prepared for it. I warned people on my my Facebook page. By the way, if you're not a friend, you can find me on Facebook, friend or fan. I'm facebook.com/B Dave Walters or B Dave Walters 2, the number 2. Okay, you can find me there. So I warned people that this was going to happen, so that if things kind of went a little crazy today, they wouldn't be too surprised. And surprisingly enough, things went crazy today. But the reason why I'm tying this into delusion is a lot of these old patterns are being exposed. A lot of these old connections, a lot of these old baseless connections are starting to be exposed. So if there's something in your life that you're unhappy with, something in your life that's not going the way that you want it to go, something in your life that's not happening the way that you want it to happen, and it's causing you a lot of stress and pain, look at what are you attached to? What are you holding on to? What are you clinging to? And does it even exist? If a person says something to you like, "I'm never going to marry you," they're never going to marry you. Now, if you can deal with the fact that you're never going to get married, good time, stay together, right? But don't spend the rest of your life being upset about the fact that this person's not going to marry you when they told you, probably years ago, that it was not going to happen. That constitutes delusion. When you see X and you know X, and yet you still keep trying to swim upstream. Now, this might seem contradictory as I'm always telling you to never give up on things, so allow me to explain the difference. But I'm going to split it first. For my brothers and sisters on YouTube, you guys watch part 2. Everybody else, stay with me. We're going to keep going.